Welcome to the show, everybody. Today we have a special guest, and actually he's a famous promoter, and he's a two-time United States Speedway champion and a champion in life. But first, we want to introduce you to the show, and if you're new, please subscribe, and you can go ahead and leave a comment at the below about your experiences with Brad OXLEY or the Costa Mesa Speedway. We would appreciate that. But without further ado, we're going to go ahead and introduce to you our first guest, the star of the show. We're going to talk to him just for a minute. He had an ordeal recently, and we're going to hopefully wish him well and that he's doing good. Let me introduce to you the one, the only, Brad OXLEY.
Well, that's quite the intro there, Brian.
You're awesome, Brad.
I guess we're both bespectacled old guys.
That's right. And we're both about the same age, so I guess we're both old guys together, right?
Yes, sir.
And we had our beginning of Speedway together, correct? You and I were like racers together. Is that true?
Yeah, we were really fortunate. And I think it was 76, may have been 75, but I think 76, a track opened down in East San Diego, and it was right next to what is Brown Field, and it was called Speedway 117, and they had a little clay car oval there, and they did a season of Speedway races. But the beauty of it for yourself and I was that the top first division riders weren't really allowed or interested in riding down there. We were racing for a couple of $100, but because the second division riders were the main show, it turned out that you and I were both young beginning riders, and we mixed it up elbow to elbow a few times.
Yeah, we had our rub-ins, didn't we? We were dicing it out. It was Brad OXLEY and the Bumblebee. We had a good time, didn't we, Brad?
Well, yeah, I remember one particular night where I was pretty sure it was maybe the third week of the season. Every week I had ridden a little better, and I was pretty sure I had a chance to make the main event that night. So I went down there, and the four guys that made the scratch main was Brian Buffington on his JAP, myself on my George Wenn tuned 2-valve Jawa, and a gentleman that was much more experienced than us named Kevin McDonald, who was a visitor from, I believe, New Zealand. And I think rounding out the field was the famous Robin Hood, a.k.a. Denny Bartlett. And those guys are probably about 12 years older than us and had a lot of Speedway experience. So in the main event, the two of us were pretty much looking like underdogs. I thought I might have a chance to win it, but you came out of the gate on the good old JAP and just stormed into the lead, pretty much left the rest of us to sort out the minor placings. And I was really lucky and happy to get second place. I got beat by Brian Buffington. I think it's the first and only time someone on a JAP beat me. It may have been one of the last great victories ever for the JAP motorcycle.
Yeah, and we had that King of the Hill championship. Do you remember that one where I have the cup right here. Let's see. I got the cup. I don't know if I can get it. It's very hard. This was the cup that almost went to Brett. I got my racing gloves inside of here. Let me get my gloves out of here.
I missed out on that one big time.
Do you remember what happened? Do you remember this one or not?
I just remember you beat me a bunch of times down there, and it just made me try and work even harder.
Yeah, we had that King of the Hill match race championship. And actually, Brad, you were number one in points, and I was number two. And they had this big thing at the end of the year, and it was the top match race champions. And you were actually number one, like I mentioned, in points. And I had actually gone to Bakersfield, and I was racing a first division handicap in Bakersfield. So I left a few weeks and came back, and you took my number one spot. And I had to race Larry Costa for the number 2 and number 3 spot to find out who's going to be eliminated so we could race Rad Brad Oxley. And then I happened to beat Larry Costa. And then it was me against you in the championship, the end of the year championship. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember you smoked me. You were a little more experienced and a bit bigger and stronger than me at that point. And I was like probably like 130-pound little guy and barely hanging onto the motorbike. And if you'll recall that Larry Costa was a San Diego dude, and that was like his home track, and he was pretty damn determined and good. He eventually went on to even race for, I believe, Bellevue in the British Speedway League. So he was no slouch and qualified for a few nationals, and that was some pretty strict competition amongst a handful of young dudes down there. I remember that it added to my experience and drew me along in my racing career quite a bit. Like those chances for guys like you, me, Larry Costa, to go up against some more experienced riders and be the main event really taught me a lot of lessons, about racing under pressure and all that stuff. And I'm sure now we would consider it a little funky, and it was a little bit backyardish and everything, but it was a big deal at the time. And I remember when I won one particular night, I won like $105, and I took my dad and George Wynn to dinner at Bob's Big Boy or Denny's or something like that. And I'll just never forget those times. And I think when you're first starting your racing career, things happen to you and it unfolds so quickly if you have a little talent that it just really sticks in your mind more than all of the other races you do from there on.
Yeah, it was the beginning. It was the genesis of our Speedway career. Rad Brad and Brian, it was raw. It was like ornate. It was down by the Mexico border. We would see the Mexicans jumping over the fence, and we'd have to lock our pit boxes, our tool boxes, so the Mexicans didn't steal our tools. It was great.
Yeah, Speedway 117 was literally right on Highway 117, which runs past Brown Airfield. Used to be a military airfield, but now it's a place where if you're flying from Mexico into the States, you have to land for customs. And like I said, it's all different now. It's not even Highway 117 anymore. Now it's called the 905, and it's a big major interstate type thing, leading like all the truck traffic from Mexico into Southern California. But at that time, it was just a little 2-lane highway, and the back straightaway of the racetrack was literally the border.
Hello, Brad. We lost Brad.
Oh, Jaylene, I'm getting lost, Jaylene.
we lost the video of Brad, so we want you coming back.
Sorry,
Come back, Brad. Come back. We miss Brad Oxley. We miss you, Brad. There we go. Thank you, Jaylene. You're an angel. Bring Brad back.
I'm a total technophobe. So like, this is the most time I've been on the phone probably in the last year.
Well, thank you so much for doing that. And so when you fly in from Mexico, you have to fly by like that area, and then you have to land, and then you have to be inspected, the airplane and things like that, and then they let you go. Is that how it works? I didn't know that.
Exactly how it works. So anywhere from Mexico, you land in Mexicali, or Brownfield is a favorite because it has a good setup for private aviation, and they check you in with the Border Patrol, and then you're able to take off and go to your U.S. destination. Oh,
very good. We're going to do a show on you today, but I know you might be tired, and you may not want to stick around very long, and we appreciate you so much for coming on the show. But can you just briefly tell us a little bit about the ordeal, what happened in Mexico? Like you were riding your motorcycle going really fast, and then you hit a deer or something. Is that what happened?
Yeah, I was down. My dad had contracted COVID and wasn't doing that good, so I threw the dog and the wife, and I always dragged the motorbike along so we could go down there and see if we could help out. By the time we got down there, he was doing a lot better. And after 3 days of treatment from some local doctors and nurses, he was doing a lot better. I thought on the fourth day it'd be a nice Saturday morning to go for a little local loop that I do down there, about 60 miles. And I was riding along in all familiar trails, and I was really feeling good. I was riding within myself because I was by myself, so a little bit careful, but I was really just like power sliding every corner and riding some beautiful wheelies and just enjoying it. It's a gorgeous day. And I just turned onto a little bit more of a 2-track dirt road and just shifted into 5th gear and got a little speed going. Maybe I was going like 55 miles an hour, and out of the corner of my eye I saw something rustle in the bushes, and it turned out it was a big buck deer. And he literally, by the time I even thought to get to the brakes, he literally had jumped straight into my path, and we had a huge collision and impact. I flew over the bars, of course, and was pretty beat up, and for the next 30 hours was pretty much a struggle for survival with a punctured aorta, deflated right lung, 15 fractures in my ribs, a fractured vertebrae in my back, and the scapula broken in 2 places. So now I'm home, and it was a big ordeal to get home, and I really beat the odds. The doctor said that my chances of survival after 2 hours were less than 1%. So I guess I was pretty lucky to make it home. I got to Mission Hospital, and then the surgeries just started. I went through 4 operations, and they got me all patched up and everything. And I'm still a little beat up and hoarse, short of breath, but feeling a little better. I think it's been about like 17 days or something. And I have 1 more surgery to go because my right shoulder's just destroyed, but they were more worried about putting a stent in my heart and reinflating my lung, and then patching up the lung, the sac around the lung, and all the ribs. They just let my shoulder thing go. So I feel strong enough now. Maybe next week I'm going to get the shoulder fixed, and then I'm going to be working every single day to get stronger so that we can, be there if the opportunity opens up with this COVID thing to do some events at the fairgrounds.
That would be awesome. So you actually, after you crashed with that, hitting that stupid deer, how long was it? Or how long were? Because I know that you were really hurt. I mean, that's really terrible. And then you were like on the ground, and then how long did it take you to like get back to camp into your dad's house? How did you do that immediately, or did it take several hours to like get on the bike? And I mean, how did you ride? I mean, you're a champion, you're a survivor. And if anyone could do it, I know Brad can do it. But how long did that, because that was terrible. Did it take you like a few hours to get going, or did you do it fast?
It took me about 25 minutes to get my composure because I like finally caught my breath. I had the like mega wind knocked out of me, and I was just gasping and gasping for any breath. I finally got a few breaths, and I got up to my hands and knees, got a drink of water, and then I went back down a couple times. I eventually got on my feet, went back down to my hands and knees a couple times. I didn't realize that all my ribs were poking through my lung in several places, and that my heart was disconnected from my aorta. So I eventually kind of composed myself, and then the challenge was to pick the bike up. The bike was in kind of a funny position, and when I went to pick up on the bars, I felt every bone in my rib cage just popping and poking me in the side. And so I just like edged the bike around an inch at a time. I dug a couple holes under the wheels with my foot, and I knew I had one chance to get it up, and I took that chance. I got the bike up, and I eventually rode 18 miles back to the house, and it took me about 45 minutes on the bike. And I got to tell you, Brian, the whole time I was using every ounce of my strength and concentration just to keep from passing out. I was seeing stars, and the road's rough, and my right arm was just hanging from the bars. So every time I hit a bump, I would give it the gas. And I just eventually made it back to the house and crawled in and got in a chair. And I never moved from that chair until like, I don't know, 14 hours later or something, when it was time to go get rescued at the airport.
Wow. Wow. So how did you ride with your right arm, like wasted? It still is bad right now. Your shoulder is totally destroyed. But how did you give it gas with your right arm? How did you do that?
I just like use my left arm to get my hand up on the throttle, and then I just looped my fingers, and my fingers and my forearm were good, and I just looped around the throttle. But every time I would hit a bump, I had no control of my elbow, just making me like give it those mini, throttle inputs that you hate when you're like getting out of control. You hit a bad bump and you just hit the throttle when you don't need to. And I was riding home about 20 miles an hour, and it was 18 miles home. The last part's on a really rough little washboard, not challenging cars drive on it, but real washboardy. And it was just beating the heck out of me. All I could think of was getting home to my beautiful wife, Jaylene, and getting a drink of water. And somehow or another, I just willed myself home. I sat in the chair, I got a drink of water, and from there I just kind of like I started sliding downhill from there pretty quickly. You'd be surprised by the next morning I looked pretty rough. We knew it was a terrible situation, and my son Colton was able to get a friend of his to immediately drop everything, get in his citation jet, and fly Colton and his wife and my little grandson down there. They drove the truck home, and I got flown home at 555 miles an hour in the citation jet of a gentleman named Jim Putman, who owns Power Grade, which is a huge international grading company. And he was kind enough to hand over the keys and a tank of gas, which is a lot more money than I want to talk about here. And he sponsored the whole thing to send me home, and I got to Mission Hospital not a minute too soon, because the doctor said that I should have never lived past 45 minutes, maximum 2 hours. So it was kind of a miracle. By the time I got to the hospital, I had 2,000 cc's of blood in my chest cavity. All my organs were pressed up against the left side, and they stuck that chest tube in me and drained all that off. I can't tell you what a relief that was. Straight into heart surgery, and then from there, a couple more surgeries to fix my lung and patch up my ribs. And I've been home now on the couch for some time, and I can't tell you, Brian, I hate to go on and be long, but I can't tell you how many people have reached out to me, like my wife's family from Kansas who I've never met, old Speedway rivals who I had pretty contentious rivalries with, and Barry Briggs, Ivan Major's daughter, and just people from England, from Speedway in England, and when I rode for Wimbledon, and then a whole nother group of people from the off-road community, because my sons are champion off-road racers, and it ended up being so many people reaching out and going on the GoFundMe thing and everything else that it just absolutely I've just never known that much love. It was beautiful, Brian, and I'm sorry I'm emotional, but I can't tell you how lucky I am to be alive and have hundreds of friends.
That's beautiful. Brad, you are loved, and the whole Speedway community and everybody loves Brad Oxley. You've given so much of your life for Speedway, your father, everything you guys have done for the riders and for everybody. And you guys are just great human beings. So everyone really loves. Were you able to collect the money from the GoFundMe? Were you able to get that money okay, or did you not get it yet?
No, I think it's still open somehow. I'm not really like a tech dude, so I don't know how it works. But my son Colton and his wife Faith set it all up for me, and they're managing it for me. And I try to do a little update, Brian. I have to apologize to people whose phone calls I haven't returned. There's no way I could ever return the amount of phone calls I've gotten. Like, people have been so kind to me. It's really been a rough experience for me to feel to feel so much outreach because, I want to be a tough guy. And at the track as a promoter, I got to say no a lot. And I have to be strict and firm and everything. And now I feel like I have to be a better person. And I don't, it's going to be hard to live up to all the love I've gotten. I have an uphill battle. I got to love Christmas and put up the Christmas lights. And there's no more bah humbug for me. I'm losing a big part of my life where I can be a contrarian.
Well, I mean, that's a positive, actually. This experience, it has been a revolutionary, a changing experience in your life. And you felt the love, the warmth from everybody in the motorsport community, not only Speedway, but everywhere. And, everyone was devastated. And, we're kind of like all feeling the pain, of the experience. And we're all wishing you, like the best. I mean, everybody, we really do. I mean, everybody, I saw that, and everyone just really, is behind you and with you, Brad.
Yeah, I'm still pretty beat up, but I gain a lot of courage and strength from it. I'm getting out now a little bit. I did a little walk in the beautiful sunshine today, and San Clemente is a beautiful place to be. And I'm going to get stronger, and I'm trying to get strong enough to go in and get this shoulder rebuilt. I had it completely rebuilt with a labrum, a rotator cuff, and a bicep reattached 2 years ago when I had another big accident in Mexico in one of those little Can-Am race cars.
Yeah.
And so it's the same shoulder, and I tore a lot of hardware up. And so I'm just trying to get strong enough because that's going to be another major surgery to contend with. And I just don't want to wait too long because I want to be strong enough to come back after the Orange County Fair and do some August, September, and October events. It looks like that's as soon as we may have a chance to get in to the fairgrounds. That the fairgrounds closely tied to the people in Sacramento who we choose to represent us. And California's been really strict on the shutdowns, and we still.
We lost your audio there for a second,
Sorry,
Brad.
someone tried to call in on me or something and screwed it up. I'm not sure how this garbage works. You high-tech guys got to sort me out on this stuff.
So they've notified you that it's a possibility that the Speedway may resume after the fair, correct? Is that what you're saying?
Well, they've already made a decision to do an Orange County Fair, but they're going to be doing it with no arena events, no people inside all the buildings that they have at the fair, and a much toned down midway. So that pretty much, for 50 years, we have opened the Orange County Fair with the Speedway Fair Derby, which is a really epic event. Then we've done freestyle motocross shows, and we've done 3 or 4 shows every year to open the fair. So it doesn't look like any of that is going to happen. But I think the way things are moving now, by the time the fair is going, they're going to wish they would have had a full fair, but there just wasn't time for them. Their lead time's too much. But I don't need that much lead time. And if I have a month's notice, I will be straight down there, and we're going to put a lot of work into the arena and make it into Costa Mesa Speedway again. And we're very, very anxious to pull off some events. I mean, there's so many people who we love and honor who have made the Speedway possible over the years. And I really want to get back there so that we can honor some of those people. I honored a bunch of the riders that have been riding for 20 plus years last year. And I was saving the Jack Milne Cup in 2020 to honor my friend Boogaloo Bob, because he's been racing some 40 odd years. And so COVID ruined that, and now it's taken away. We haven't had an event since October 2019 at the National. Wow. So we're very, very anxious to come back and do anything we can to reestablish Costa Mesa Speedway, and we're going to put 100% effort into those dates. And it looks like there's some potential for August, September, and October. If we could get like 6 events in there, it'd be awesome.
So you're going to revise the schedule after the fair derby or the fair, and then you're going to hopefully try to squeeze as many events as you can be, and hopefully you can run the national championship this year. Is that correct? If you can do that?
That would be the goal. And, as far as like updating our schedule, when we started this, it was just at the start of our season. Like all these lockdowns came in, I think, like March and everything of 20. And we would have started the last week of April or the first week in May. And so, it was flatten the curve for 60 days. So then we update our schedule to reflect that, the 60 days. And then it turned into more and more and months, and now over a year. And at a certain point, we realized that we were chasing our tails. We really have no control over opening the fairgrounds on our own. In fact, the entire fairgrounds has been on like a lockdown with all the gates locked and no activities or very few going on. I think they're going to be doing inoculations and stuff for COVID down there. But a lot of the events that we all know and love, like the marketplace and tons of other interim events, have quit in the meantime. Like the marketplace is allegedly gone, and some of those like car shows that they do or haven't happened or have gone. I heard that maybe the Orange County Marathon found a new home, and we want to be the ones to come back. We were the first major event on the Orange County Fairgrounds. We're the longest serving interim event and the most loyal. And we would love to be the first ones to bring our event back. There's lots of great events there, but we love Costa Mesa Speedway to be the first event back. And we're going to put 110% into making it happen. We're just waiting for Sacramento.
Wow. That's great. And, everyone, especially on the Speedway channel that we have here, everyone's just chomping at the bit, wanting Costa Mesa Speedway to resume again. And everybody loves that racetrack of yours. And we all, want that to happen. We're just excited. Every time we have a show here, we always talk about Costa Mesa Speedway, opening, and we're really behind Costa Mesa, and everybody just loves that track. And, it's the granddaddy of all speedway tracks in the United States. And it's the longest running speedway show in the United States. And everybody really loves Costa Mesa. So if we can get Costa Mesa open after the fair, that's going to be really huge for everybody. And that's going to really get a lot of attention.
Yeah, I feel sorry for Kelly at Industry and Dave at Fast Fridays. They're pretty much in about the same boat we are. And it's just been kind of a godsend for the sport that Steve Evans has continued his events out at Paris, and then now something happening out at Bakersfield. And we just want all the guys to stay healthy and be ready to come back this fall to Costa Mesa Speedway. We need all those guys, and the fans are super excited to get us back.
Oh, definitely. I heard that Kelly Inman was over at Lake Elsinore looking at a track there with a couple of speedway tracks there, a long track and then a shorter track within the long track. Did you hear anything about that? He was looking at another venue, and I'm not sure anything about that.
Yeah, well, the Lake Elsinore Motocross Park first had a speedway track some like 10 years ago when my friend Jerry Litton went in there and negotiated with the management to put in a speedway track, and Jerry Litton and I put in 225 4x8 plywood panels and built a racetrack with their old dump truck and water truck, and I had a blade in there, and he operated it for about a season or so, and then that became Lucas Oil short course off-road like truck racing and stuff venue for several years. Been very successful and got a lot of television coverage and stuff. And so now I guess Kelly's back over there, and I wish him the best. And it's a cool facility. The dirt there's kind of funny, so it takes a lot to make it work, to bring in a lot of DG and stuff for Speedway. But I know his heart's in the right place, and as long as he can make it work with the management there over the years, has been a little up and down, if I can say that. So hopefully Kelly will be able to get a fair shake from the management there, and then that would be wonderful.
Wow. So is Kelly like, is he using this as like another venue while he's waiting for Industry Hills, or is he just dishing Industry Hills and going to this, possibly this Lake Elsinore venue?
I hadn't really talked to him about that, but I think a lot of people are invested in Industry Hills because of how wonderful of a facility is. The racetrack's good. The facility is just A plus. It's super bitchin'. It's like modern and it's safe, and they run a good program. And I don't know. Hopefully this would just be like in addition to, because some of these events that are being run on like more of a club level, like at Paris, are being able to skirt under the radar and still do events. Whereas like at Industry or Costa Mesa or Fast Fridays, the state of California would be in there, of course, you know, putting everybody in handcuffs.
Yeah. Well,
so I don't know.
I know.
Sorry, I haven't talked to Kelly specifically.
Well, I mean, if Kelly can get another venue, you know, if he could get that Lake Elsinore venue going, and then let's say Industry Hills opens up, and then Costa Mesa opens up after the fair in July, I believe it is. And then Dave Joyner, he looks like he's starting his show May 27th. And then Jason Bonsignor is starting his. He has a full schedule in New York going on. It looks like this year, many events. And Steve Evans has his new track in Bakersfield, and then his Paris track going on. We could potentially have a lot of speedway in California and the United States. Do you think so?
Yeah, I think so, and I think it's really good. Like we were talking about Speedway 117, you and I were able to show up down there, and we didn't have Wild Bill Cody and Rick Woods and Steve Bass there, so we were able to shine and grow as riders, and it was really good for our careers. And I think the same thing is true of some of these other promotions. I just, you know, my vision is to get one or two more tracks going that are really just based on more of a spectator level, more of just a professional show like we were used to in the good old days. And I can't give up that formula of racing for the fans in a 2 hour and, you know, a half format. So that format never really offers the same opportunities to all the riders to get as many laps in as they're able to do at these like club promotions. But to have a 3 track a week professional promotion would be pretty cool. And really, I've just put my effort into, and it's taken all of our efforts 100% just to keep Costa Mesa Speedway viable and you know, stay in the good graces of the city of Costa Mesa, the fire marshal, the Orange County Fair Board, the sheriffs, and on and on and on.
It's a lot of red tape over there when you're running a state facility at the fairgrounds.
Yeah, you know, state facilities all go through the agricultural district of California, so there's a lot of rules. And then on top of that, as you know, Orange County Fairgrounds is really in the very middle of politically correct and super careful California legislature and politics. So we have to really go the extra mile to pull those events off. And we're only able to do it based on our reputation, and that the events that, you know, my mom and dad and then me and my sister have done over all the years.
Yeah, I mean, you started Costa Mesa in 1969. Your papa did, and then your beloved mother, Marilyn. We love your mother, and Marilyn was such a great lady, and I just, I always loved, Marilyn was like a mother to everyone, and she was just the sweetest, the kindest, the most beautiful lady you could ever have, and then that was your mom. She was great. Do you feel that way about your mom? Because we all loved your mom. She was fantastic.
Absolutely. She was a huge part of the success of Costa Mesa Speedway and that whole formula of the racing program and the professionalism and the fast pace and the getting everybody out of there before like 9:45 and all that took a lot of work to establish. And my parents put their heart and soul into Costa Mesa Speedway, and it was good to them. And then myself and my sister Lori took it through some pretty lean times. And when she was finished, now it's myself and my wife Jaylene, and it's just the two of us. And it's a lot of red tape and politics making it happen. But once we get it going, the events themselves are always super entertaining, and it's just colorful, unedited drama every Saturday.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Well, you've done a great job taking over the fairgrounds, from your dad who retired, and then your mom has passed away, and then that leaves you to like handle the show. And you really, that's why everyone loves you so much, because you picked up the pieces from that, and then you've carried the show on, continuously for like 50 some years. The fair has. And so when the fairgrounds opens up, or when they start opening up the show here, they're going to look at you because you have the best track record of all those years. And of course you're on top of it, and, you want to make this, everybody wants to see Costa Mesa open. So this is really great. And, that's why people love you so much, Brad.
Well, we have a great safety record. We put a lot of work into making the racetrack just so. All of our officials have been there for years and years, and we have the very best people, and we try to put all the riders in the correct places that will make for a really good show. And we don't care who wins as long as it's a good close race. And at the end of the night, you always get that main event, and you go home always knowing who the winner was. And like I said, it's just, there's not much live entertainment that's that fast-paced and colorful and unpredictable as Costa Mesa Speedway. And the fans have stuck with us through thick and thin, and we love them. We have 3 generations of Speedway fans.
Yeah, I mean, everybody grew up, with Speedway, especially Costa Mesa. And, that was my first experience with Speedway, is going to Costa Mesa back in the early 70s and seeing all those famous riders, Wild Bill Cody and Danny Becker, and the Larry Shaw and Mike Bass. He's no longer racing, right, Mike Bass? So we have a different winners now. But back in the day, Mike Bass was always winning, and everybody hated him for winning.
And then us young guys who were in the support class, if we didn't transfer and make the main, you may not get back on the program for 2-3 weeks. So it was really elbows up and full throttle if you wanted to make the program at Costa Mesa Speedway. Something like 200 riders vying for 35 spots, and it made it really special.
Yeah. Oh, I remember racing when we were back in the day. You might have had a little advantage because your dad was a promoter, but me, I had to win. And if you didn't win the main event or finish first or second, you had to go in line, like you say, for 2, 3, 4 weeks and wait. And then that really was bad for a young Speedway rider.
Yeah, it was tough. And my dad made sure he was plenty tough on me. I got all first division rides at San Bernardino and Ventura and Ascot way before I ever got one at Costa Mesa. And then after I made first division, he made sure I was in the first race of the night for 5 years.
So you have that muddy track and everything.
Oh yeah, I got to be really good on the wet and slimy track and just sticking it right down on the groove. And it was actually, at the end of the day, it was good for my racing. And I just got to tell you that I hold those memories so closely, and it's so special to me, and it's given me some form of notoriety for all these years. And now the only thing I ever get any recognition for is when I almost kill myself.
Well, everyone seems to forget legends, and you're definitely a legend. So I guess that experience helped remind everybody that, hey, we have Rad Brad Oxley, and we really love this guy, and we don't want anything bad to happen to him.
Yeah, I made the mistake of thinking I was bulletproof. I'm a pretty good, safe motorcycle guy, and I hardly ever fall down. I haven't been hurt much in a long, long time, but 2 objects cannot occupy the same space at the same time. And I proved that theory out.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you know, what happened to you was really a freak accident. I mean, I don't believe you did anything wrong or anything because, you know, it actually, what happened to you almost happened to me last week. I was riding on an old trail area. It was a road area, but they had a big hill coming down. And I was actually, thank God, I wasn't going 55. I was just going like 20 or something like that. I was putting along. I wasn't really racing fast. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, I didn't even see it, but these cows, these big, big cows, come down the hill. I didn't see it. And next thing I know, these cows were right in the middle of the road. And they're big, you know, jumbo-sized cows. And I'm like, whoa. And I was thinking of you at the time because I was just putting, thank God. And then these cows were right in front of me, and I was able to stop because I was only going like 20. But, you know, when those things happen, I mean, you have no control over it. I mean, it's not your fault.
Well, when things go bad on the motorbike, especially when you're going fast, it goes bad fast. And these damn deer are quick. This thing came like a rocket and was just like in midair when I hit him. It was a giant impact. And I think we both probably learned a lesson about being a little more graceful and giving a little more room on the road.
Oh, but so was the deer, did he die? I mean, he probably died getting hit like that.
I'm not sure what happened because when I got back up and I was about 35 feet away from the bike and I went back to the bike, I could see all his little hoof marks where the bike had taken him down and he had scratched and scrambled and then run off into the brush. So if he left the scene of the crime with the same injuries I have, I don't think he had a very good chance of making it. I had the chief of cardiology, the chief of trauma surgery, and the very top pulmonary surgeon at Mission Hospital all working for me. And you're not going to get that kind of help down in Baja California.
And the deer is not going to get that kind of help in Baja California.
No, I think they probably would have just turned him into a taco.
Hey, they have pretty good tacos down there. Oh,
hey,
yeah.
buddy, I'm going to run. But before I go, I just want to tell you and everybody, like first to you, I had such great memories of us racing. And you were my very first real rival. And you whooped up on me on the JAP. And I was just like, I didn't even know where the hell you came from. And that was super cool. And I'll always remember it. And I see your postings and stuff, and I think it's all really cool. I'm stoked you're doing the show, and thank you for having me on. And to everybody else, you know, just thanks so much for supporting me, hanging in. And all I can ask now, it's hard for me to ask anymore, but if you guys would all just be there at Costa Mesa Speedway when we open, I'd love to see everybody and get the sport going back where it belongs to be again.
Oh, we love that. Everybody supporting this channel is just 100% behind you, Brad. And I know everybody's going to be there at Costa Mesa supporting you, supporting the track. And, you know, we just wish you all the best with your surgery coming up with your shoulder and your healing, because you need to heal, because we need you back on the track. You know, I don't know if you can actually do the track anymore, but we need you back, you know, promoting and getting Speedway back. We really miss Costa Mesa so much.
Yeah, someone's got to clean the toilets too. So I'll be there. And like I said, I look forward to seeing everyone. It'll be the best day of my life when we come back.
Oh, it's going to be best. So you're going to have enough time to heal, correct? You know,
I'll get healed up. I'll get healed up and I'll get a little bit of help and we'll make it happen, and nothing's going to stop us.
You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Brad. And everybody just really can say, everybody loves you and they love Costa Mesa and everything you've done for Speedway, your father, your mother. You know, it's just been fantastic. And, you know, Costa Mesa is the granddaddy of all the Speedway tracks in the United States. And we just can't wait for Costa Mesa to come back. And I know everybody is going to support the track, support you, and come back and race. You know, we may have all those racers back like when we were young, you know, those long lines of racers wanting to race, you know, compete, you know, go on reserve to try to get on the program. So we're excited, you know, for Costa Mesa. I may come back and ask you to be on the program. I may come back and ride. I mean, we all want to ride Costa. I have those trophies behind me from Costa Mesa. Those are all, and they're my valued trophies from your track. Thank you.
Well, you've been super generous to me, and I appreciate the opportunity, buddy.
Yeah, thank you so much, Brad. And we're going to let you go now. And we're going to start our show. That's Rad Brad Oxley. We love you, Brad, and happy healing. We'll see you, Brad. We're going to see him at the races, Rad Brad Oxley. We're going to do our show on Brad Oxley. And actually, to start off the show, thank you so much, Brad, for coming on and being a part of the show. We actually have a Brad Oxley show coming up here. And actually, now Brad actually has a secret, you know, he hasn't told you about. We just talked with Rad Brad Oxley. God, he gave us a lot of his time, and we want to thank him so much. But Brad has a secret, and his name is actually not Rad Brad Oxley. And it's Lefty Turner. And Brad was not a speedway rider. He was a chuck wagon racer. So we want to tell you that Brad Oxley was an imposter. He is a chuck wagon racer.
Lefty Turner!
Lefty Turner, pleasure to have you, man.
All right, come on in. How you doing, Lefty?
Damn glad to be here, Terry Ike.
All right, sit on down.
I have an admission to make before we get started, Terry.
Okay.
I'm far from fartless.
You're
I need that bag back.
You need that back.
Hell yeah.
Okay, now you're a chuck wagon racer,
Yes, I am.
and you think you can be world champion?
Maybe intercontinental world champion.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And what makes you faster than the rest of the chuck wagon racers?
Well, my wagon's nothing special, but I run her in deep, drive her out hard, and white knuckle her in between.
Really?
Yeah, I think I can get her done, Lefty.
Yeah. I'm not Lefty. You're Lefty.
Bong, that's one.
So, do you have fast horses?
Not really. Not really. My horses aren't really that fast, but I have plenty of them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
How many?
I've a dozen, 2 dozen horses.
Yeah.
Are you allowed that many?
No, not really, but you know, when you're in the position I'm in, you get pretty much what you want.
Okay. And how long have you been chuck wagon racing?
6 weeks.
Oh, so you're pretty new at it. But you really think you can take them to the cleaners, huh?
I think I might be able to. I do hold the Calgary to Laredo world record.
Yeah.
Not Laredo, Loreto.
Okay.
See Simone.
And you want the Honda Saloon to sponsor your rig?
I feel like the difference between me and greatness could be made up by being associated with the Honda Saloon and Terry I. Clinton.
Okay.
Wow,
That's pretty serious.
Well, it's a long way to go, but I'm ready to go there.
All right. All right.
Sure.
Well, I'll have to think about that sponsorship.
I love it.
How much does it take to sponsor?
How much does it take to sponsor?
Yeah, in American money.
I'm looking for 3 cases of whiskey, 2 bean burritos, and
Some fartless chili.
some fartless chili.
Brad will never find the fartless chili, but the whiskey and the burritos he may find. But actually, Brad made his mark, not actually chuck wagon racing, but he made his mark riding Speedway. So let's go ahead and talk about what happened with Brad's Speedway days. So Brad has a huge list of accomplishments. It's very big, including a 2-time United States national champion at Costa Mesa in 1987 and 1999. Brad was the 6-time point leader. 6 times. Brad won the 1976 Rookie of the Year at Costa Mesa and in Speedway. And he was the 1981 British League Rookie of the Year. So Brad won 2 Rookie of the Year. They had a Speedway series called the Speedway America TV Series Challenge. And Brad was the champion of that. He was the 4-time 25-lap champion. He won the 25-lap match race 4 times. Wow, they don't do that anymore, do they? But he won 4 times.
Search for dopamine. Miss your cherry kisses on my chin. Ooh, Molly, are you stuck in nostalgia like me?
Brad was the 1982 Ryder Cup champion in London. So Brad has this huge list of accomplishments in Speedway. He's done fabulous things, and Brad just has this credential that goes a mile long. We salute you, Brad Oxley. We talked about Brad Oxley, number 5. They call him Rad Brad Oxley. Why? Because he's radical. So that's it today. Right now. Hey, how you doing? Brad had a great run as a Speedway rider. His natural talent as a rider mixed in with his God-given talent made Rad Brad a hard charger. He was hard to beat. Brad, even his accident, he has a never die attitude. He learned a lot of that as a Speedway rider, and he just was a good rider. I mean, Brad Oxley was a great competitor and a great champion.
That shine at the end of the season. Now let's go to the pits with Steve talking to Craig Schaefer, the event number 1 winner, number 29.
Well, Craig, you were able to keep the pack off your back that time.
Well, yeah. Pretty tough out there. First race, you know. Haven't raced since August, so. But it took me about 3 laps to get my rhythm. After I got my rhythm, it was right there. Felt like I was, you know, racing every night of the week again, you know. Same old thing.
A lot of contact made in that first race. Lucero in his 360, Mazzacane disqualified.
There was a lot of bumping. A lot of people, I think, were real tense, you know. First corner, first race of the season, you know. Big crowd, a lot of, you know.
Yeah, I know. Good luck in the semis.
Thanks a lot.
Number 29, Craig Schaefer, one of the more experienced riders, just kind of getting over those first race jitters.
And Bruce here in handicap heat number 2, way back on the 50 by virtue of being 3rd in the World Championship, number 131, 20-year-old Lance King. In front of him, 101, Dave DeTemple, number 5, Brad Oxley. In front of them, number 40, Mark Dwyer, number 166, Andy Northrup. And right in front, against the tapes, number 25, Dennis Briggs. Dennis Briggs will lead him down into turn number 1.
Now, number 25 in the blue leathers, Dennis Briggs. He's been racing for quite some time. He started out on the big 750 Harleys on the flat track scene.
And in second spot is number 40, Mark Dwyer, the yellow and white leathers. He and Briggs trying to stay down low on that pole, but they're not really accomplishing it, Bruce. If they continue to go high like that, they're going to open the door.
Okay, it looks like Brad Oxley, number 5, has moved into 3rd place, just getting by Dave DeTemple, number 101.
And you have to be 1st, 2nd, or 3rd to transfer to the handicap semifinals.
Number 25, Dennis Briggs, still in the lead. Like I said, he's pretty hard to budge off that pole, too.
But bobbling just a little bit there, going into turn number 2. Here they come into turn number 3. Out of 3, turn 4. They'll cross the start-finish line from only 5 lap races.
Number 40, Mark Dwyer, still putting the pressure on Dennis Briggs in the lead.
And look at Lance King, wheels in the air, trying to get around Brad Oxley for the final qualifying spot. He will not do it, but he came awfully close. So the checkered flag displayed. The winner of handicap heat number 2 is number 25, Dennis Briggs. And the results now come from the scores as official. And how about number 5, Brad Oxley? You would think it might be an advantage to be the promoter's son, but not so. While the rest of the riders were relaxing, Brad put in a 10-hour day preparing this racetrack. 10 minutes ago, you were out there hosing the racetrack.
Yeah, it feels good to get some dry socks on.
Do the riders tease you a little bit about the quality of your track? Do they get on you a bit?
Well, they'd like to, but I try to make sure that my track's always, in the best condition possible, and it's real important to me as a rider. I can appreciate the work that goes into it, and I expect the other riders to, and they do.
And I noticed looking at the programs over the years, your dad, the promoter, Harry Oxley, doesn't give you an easy race. He's not about to let that happen.
Yeah, well, now, fortunately, he's not making the heats up anymore. There's someone else doing it because he always seemed to give me the toughest ones, but I like that because it makes me more aggressive, and in the big events, you got to race against everybody.
Yeah, what a guy. And his dad treated him tough, and his dad treated me tough too. He gave me all the hard races. But Brad was an excellent track preparer. Brad Oxley, he makes the best speedway track. He knows as a rider, as a champion, how to prepare, how to groom that track to make it just right. I mean, anybody who rides Costa Mesa Speedway knows how great of a track Brad Oxley can build. And Brad was a great speedway rider too, and he could ride anything. And I guess you're a great speedway rider if you're a 2-time United States Speedway champion like Brad Oxley was. And actually, he could ride, like I say, anything. And he rode a JP. I was riding the JP in the early days, and then Brad, he went ahead and copied me, that copycat, and he rode a JP with a 22-inch tire. And then Gary Gorgeous Hicks, do you remember Gary Hicks? Gary was riding that JP also. And Gary is actually the grandson of Cordy Milne, who was a 3-time United States Speedway champion back in the 30s and 40s. And Gary Hicks was an amazing speedway rider. And they actually had a match race on JAPs, the old JAPs.
Gary Hicks on the other JP. 22-inch rear tire. Boy, this is pouring off the
My whisker was Brad Oxley. That was a great race between him and Gary Hicks. And Brad he rode that JP better than I rode my JP. He was fast. And Brad Oxley was not only a great speedway rider, but actually he could ride the TT pretty good too. I bet he could have a future as a TT rider. And actually he showed his talent, Brad did, with the famous Baja racer Johnny Campbell. They actually had a match race at Costa Mesa Speedway, and Brad was just racing Johnny Campbell, only the champion Johnny Campbell, and he gave Johnny Campbell a run for his money.
Match race coming up. Check this out. Brad Oxley, two-time national speedway champion, 1987, 1989, six-time Costa Mesa Speedway boys champion, and he's racing against Johnny Campbell, the 11th-time Baja 1000 champion. You were here early. We talked with Johnny Campbell. He'll be on the 1X machine. And he'll be right Oxley on the ball in the match race. And Oxley on the line. Johnny Campbell, 1000 champion.
Now those guys are good, and we want to thank Mark Williams, rest in peace, and Ken for the Extreme Speedway action videos that we're going to play. And actually, I want to tell you something. Brad is a secret cowboy. He's not really Brad Oxley, and actually, he has a part-time job as a cowboy. So he's going to talk a little bit about his speedway days and life as a cowboy. But just don't tell nobody, okay? Just don't say nothing. We're going to talk a little bit. It's a secret that Brad really doesn't want to share.
You like that character, huh?
I dig him.
Tell me about. I want to know about your speedway, your upbringing. Your father started with Jack Milne in 1969. I want to know what it was like to grow up with your father in speedway and how you got involved as a racer.
It wasn't easy, Terry. I started off selling peanuts, popcorn, and programs in the pits, and I worked up from there.
Yeah.
Pretty soon I was watering the track, scrubbing the toilets, a lot of glamorous jobs. Before I finally landed my current job as a Speedway Fall guy.
There you go.
And it's a good time, but it's been a long time. And I'm not saying I would do it again, but it's people like yourself, bartender Bruce, Jaylene, Jumpin' Jaylene, that really make it, possible and enjoyable. And we do have a good time at the Speedway. Can I throw something in?
Sure.
I think Dave Joyner was the last remaining member of the Donner Party. Maybe he ate his children to survive. I don't know. I just got to throw that out. Love you, Dave. Just in case, Dave.
Oh, no. But now you were a rider. Tell me, I want to go. How did you did that as a kid, and you grew up in the pit area, and now you became a rider?
Yeah, well, all my heroes, and I've always said this, like, I heard your Evel Knievel, gosh, Evel Knievel, oh my goodness. I heard your Evel Knievel interview, and, it was heart-touching, and a little sad to hear Evel kind of, he's really up against life right now, but he's not giving up.
Right.
He's the toughest guy ever. And no one ever gets involved in motorcycle racing to race motorcycles. That'd be really dumb. They do it to be like people they saw before.
Yeah.
I always wanted to be like Evil. I wanted to be like Rick, Sonny, Mike, Sammy. I wanted to be like all those guys. And Ivan and Barry and that's what it is to race. That's what gets you involved in it. No one who was thinking straight would get involved in racing. But we want to emulate the people that came before us, our heroes. We want to be like those guys. We never saw them changing a tire or fussing over cam timing or washing their 20,000th bike.
Right.
We just saw them winning with the helmet and the leathers and the bandana and the trophy girl.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. And so I just always grew up wanting to be a speedway racer. I never thought I would be a speedway champion. I didn't even dare to dream of it. But I wanted to be a speedway racer, and through a lot of hard work and connections and my family, I became one, and it was a real good time.
Yeah. And how does it feel now when you got youngsters that want to emulate you?
I tell them don't. Just go to MMI.
See, my problem was I was a speedway motorcycle racer, but nobody wants to be like me.
And so was Bruce. And so was Mike.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's a few people here tonight in the Haunted Saloon that were speedway motorcycle
Yeah, we've been
racers.
infected. There's a long line of us, and it's a grisly story.
To the folks that are worldwide right now, and they're going, speedway motorcycle racing, what are you guys talking about? Tell us a little bit about the motorcycles.
Well, speedway motorcycle racing is like, can I preface it?
Go ahead.
Okay, first some guy invented a wheel. Then when he got spare time, he invented two wheels. And then he rode, and it was a motorcycle, and it was good. And then pretty soon he invented 3 and 4 wheels. Because he was sane, he didn't make an automobile. He made 2 motorcycles. And then there was a race.
Mm-hmm.
Shortly thereafter, they raced in a circle. It's the best kind of race there is. It's easy to understand. Mm-hmm. And they raced. And speedway motorcycle racing was among the very first forms of racing, and certainly the grandfather of all motorcycle racing.
Right.
In not just the United States, but in the world.
Right.
and it's the purest form of motorcycle racing. It's a man, a motorcycle, 4 laps, 48 seconds at Costa Mesa Speedway, and you're either glorious or smashed into the turn 2 crash wall, and we're having a good time laughing about it.
And these motorcycles have no brakes.
500cc, fuel-burning motorcycles, no brakes.
The one thing about it too is, though, Brad, is they're technically
Wait a minute. Every motorcycle burns fuel.
Yes.
Methanol burning motorcycles.
Okay. But one thing about them too is they haven't really changed from like the 1930s. The motorcycles really haven't changed that much.
The metallurgy, and now we have carbon fiber, aluminum, titanium.
Yeah.
As Barry Briggs would call it. And aluminium. We have that.
Yeah.
And all from the jet age. But the basic geometry, the format of the races, the motorcycles and the men who race them remain the same. It's pure, simple, and hardcore, Terry. And Speedway motorcycle racing is exciting, it's unedited, it's colorful, it's accessible, and it's total drama. Week in and week out. And that's all goes back to right from our forefathers and the people who started, right back to the Milne brothers, to Earl, to all those guys.
Now, as the promoter, do you miss the racing and the competitiveness of it?
I don't miss the racing because I'm there all the time watching those crazy guys do it. And every night I think, oh my gosh, I'm so lucky not to be racing motorcycles. Because it's really pretty hardcore.
Yeah.
It's very dangerous. It's super raw. It's all about the competitor and his machine. You know, it's not like the Indy 500. No. There's no giant team behind any Speedway guys. It's a man, his motorcycle, 4 laps, and giant heaps of balls. That's all that. And I still have all of those things, except for maybe not the ladder, you know. And at a certain point, after 27 and a half concussions, one I got with jumping Jay Lane, you gotta just call it quits. Yeah. And it's a tough sport. It's for young guys. And I'm not one of those.
Well, but you say that it's for young guys, but some of the guys that are over 50 years of age are at the top of their game still. So,
well, Boogaloo Bob's special,
and Flying Mike for real.
Flying Mike has Roxanne.
There's motivation, boy.
There's motivation. Okay, I'd go to the moon on a moped before I'd deal with that, and that's where it is. You know, other than that, it takes youth and skill, a lot of exuberance, enthusiasm, preparation, a willingness to suffer, just like being on your show, Terry.
That's now we got a big race.
Did he say he would go to the moon on a moped rather than being with Roxanne? Oh, that's great. I think that actually he would probably go to the moon on a moped. But you know what? The words, the Oxleys, Brad Oxley, and Costa Mesa Speedway is synonymous with each other. I mean, you don't have Costa Mesa Speedway if you don't have the Oxleys. Welcome back, and today we're going to talk about the opening of Costa Mesa Speedway, the beginning of Costa Mesa Speedway. It was created in 1968 by the world champion Jack Milne. And Harry Oxley. They went ahead and devised the Costa Mesa Speedway. They planned it. And early in the summer of 1969, in the summer of 69, they opened the Costa Mesa Speedway. It was a early day speedway. We had a lot of these pioneers, Sweet Savage Rick Woods. We had a young Michael Bass and Steve Bass. We had all these early day speedway pioneers. The summer of '69 was when they had the surf craze, the BMX craze, the skateboard craze, the motocross craze. It was just crazy, all the different attention in the summer of '69. And that was a good year for the timing of the opening of the Costa Mesa Speedway. Costa Mesa Speedway helped create the first world champion since 1937, and that was Bruce the Fox Penhall. He won the first championship since 1937 when Jack Milne won that special event. Costa Mesa Speedway has had only 3 announcers since 1969. The first was the legendary Bruce Flanders. Rest in peace, Bruce. He was the very first announcer in 1969. They went ahead and had the next announcer, legendary, famous Larry Motormouth Huffman. He was amazing. Larry Huffman razzled and dazzled with his Huffman shuffle. And the last announcer they have at Costa Mesa Speedway and current announcer is Terry Ike Clanton. The 70s was the heyday at the Costa Mesa Speedway. You had Gene the Dancing Machine. You had more beer in the stands. You had crazy dirt where their mud was flying in the stands. You had all the legendary 1970 Speedway riders. The Costa Mesa Speedway holds 6,500 people in the seats. It's a 185-yard oval track. It's a clay base with decomposed granite at the surface. Costa Mesa Speedway has four major events every year. The first one is the Jack Milne Cup. The second one is the Warren Russell Cup. And then in the summer, usually in July, they have the Fair Derby. Then at the end of the year, they have the United States National Championship. Costa Mesa has been running fluidly for 50 years, until this year stopped it. Costa Mesa also hosts different events like the Harley Davidson Night and the MX Jumpers Night. Those particular nights draw a lot of people, and people like especially to see the Harley Davidsons race around the track. In In the 90s, legendary and former world champion, Jack Milne had passed away. Rest in peace, Jack. And Harry Oxley took over the Costa Mesa Speedway. And he actually ran that for several years until he retired and moved to Mexico. Also, Brad Oxley, the son of Harry, took over promoting Costa Mesa Speedway. And Brad was involved with the track since probably he was in diapers. He was actually grooming the track, and Brad knows every inch of the Costa Mesa Speedway, and he now promotes it with his wife, Jaylene. Brad is also a two-time United States champion. I started racing Costa Mesa in 1975, and my last year full-time was in 2008. And I was there in 2012 and raced a few nights also. And Costa Mesa has always been my favorite speedway track of them all. All the legendary American speedway riders, all of them have ridden at Costa Mesa. There are so many riders who have ridden at Costa Mesa Speedway. The list goes on and on and on and on and on. Like we mentioned before, Costa Mesa Speedway has been running continuously for 50 years. And this is the first time they have not had a national championship or a season. However, Jason in New York, last month he ran a national championship, the 2020 National Championship, and Brock Nickel won that event. '20 has a national champion. It's Brock Nickel, and it's really great that Jason held that event in New York. We want to thank the Oxley family for all the hard years and all the hard work they've put into making Costa Mesa a success. I know it's a lot of work, it's hard, it's probably thankless too. So they've done a great job, and Speedway has really been good because of the Oxley family and the Costa Mesa Fairgrounds. All over Europe, they watch the Costa Mesa Speedway. They're reading who's doing well, and the promoters are watching, and they're picking the riders, the young and up-and-coming riders, to ride on their teams from the write-ups from the Costa Mesa Speedway. We hope 2021 is going to be a good year for Costa Mesa Speedway. There are a few tracks running this year, like Paris Raceway. Steve Evans promoting that, doing a great job. And Fast Fridays up there, they're doing a great job up there also. So they're promoting Speedway, it's being run this year. And next year we hope to have it in full form. If you'd like to go ahead and watch more Speedway videos, we have them right here. And we appreciate you watching this vlog of Costa Mesa Speedway. Costa Mesa Speedway is an amazing event. It's an amazing racetrack, and we invite you to go to Costa Mesa when they open again. So please like, share, subscribe, and always ring that bell.
Yeah, ring that bell. Hey, Brad Oxley came a long ways from scrubbing those toilets, like he said, and selling the popcorn. And Brad Oxley did it all as a young guy, and he actually groomed and prepared that track since he was in diapers. And now Brad Oxley is the promoter of Costa Mesa Speedway.
Speedway was rejuvenated in 1969 and by Harry Oxley and Jack Milne. Jack Milne was a 1937 Speedway champion, world champion. And Harry had a son. His name was Brad Oxley, number 5 and number 1. And he won United States Championships in 1987 and 1999. And Brad had a very special mom named Marilyn. Marilyn was a good friend of mine. I like Marilyn and I miss her. Rest in peace, Marilyn. But first, I want to give a special shout out to Brad's wife, Jaylene.
And she's a very special friend of mine, and she's always good to me. So thank you, Jaylene, for all you do to me, the Speedway, your husband Brad, your awesome anchor. With every good man needs a good woman, and you, Jaylene, are a good woman. So I knew Brad like before he was racing Speedway. You know what Brad did when he was a young kid? He was a Speedway track preparer. He was groomed at a very young age to prepare the Speedway track. And to this day, Brad prepares the Speedway track, and he's promoter of Costa Mesa. He took over after his father, Harry, retired. But Brad's very famous in the sport of USA Speedway. His father also, Harry, still works on the track to this day, I believe, and he prepares the best Speedway tracks in the world. Brad is a very good friend of mine. Back in 2005 when I made my comeback, my number was 177, and I wanted my number 77 back. So I asked Brad if I could get my number 77, and he gave it to me. Some of my fellow support riders, they went complaining to Brad on, hey, he's got his 2-digit number. And Brad told them, he is one of the only guys that took a championship away from me in my younger years, and he gets his number 77. Did you take a championship away from me? And they said, no, we've never are as good as you. And he said, Brian was. He gets his number.
Legends are what Speedway is made of. It's what it's all about. And truly, Brad Oxley is a living legend today. He is just an amazing individual, loved by all. Brad was in tears, thanking all of you for your love and support for his injury. I mean, Brad really was heartfelt and touched, and he's just an amazing guy. And he's actually a living legend. And Brad Oxley talks about the Living Legends Night at the Costa Mesa Speedway. Mark Williams went ahead and filmed this. And Brad Oxley is one of those true living legends. And he's talking about the legends. And Brad Oxley is definitely a living legend.
So Brad, here we are, Legends Night. A lot of cool bikes out here, a lot of stuff going on. Just some of the guys are going to be here.
It's a cool night, you know, on Legends Night. We honor the Trailblazers, which is an organization of motorcycling pioneers. And part of those guys is Tom White, Brian Farnsworth, a lot of really cool guys from the day. And in addition, we have some Speedway greats here. And, you know, along with names that you'll know, and you'll see that guys are coming and going all night. Indeed, we have Living Legends Racing Speedway with Mike Faria, Bobby Schwartz, Sean McConnell. But my dad, Harry Oxley, who's the godfather of Speedway, and none of us would ever have gained any success without him, will be here tonight, which is a big honor for myself. And Bruce Penhall is being honored in the Motorsports Hall of Fame. So we're going to welcome and talk about that tonight, because that's very important. The Motorsports Hall of Fame has hardly any motorcyclists in it. They're all like Indy 500 dudes, like AJ Foyt and Al Unser, of course, are in there. But now Bruce Penhall has joined them, so that's real cool. And Ivan Major, who is on the books the greatest Speedway racer ever, 7-time World Speedway champion, 4-time long track champion. No one else has really even got close to that, is here. Cool. And so then, you know, a whole group of riders that rode in the 70s and 80s will be here, and we're just kind of waiting to see which of those show up. So we'll have an autograph session with some of those guys.
Yeah.
We'll have a full program of Speedway motorcycle racing. Right. We'll have a lap of legends with some of these really cool bikes. Billy Hamill is on the program, who has to be mentioned as a legend of Speedway. In my opinion, the most exciting Speedway racer that I have the privilege of watching. I love to see Billy Hamill, and that will make the show super special.
Yeah.
So I just think all around it's kind of building up to be a fun and exciting show with just a lot of great guys that we owe the longevity of the Costa Mesa Speedway to personalities like the people who we are honoring tonight.
I see there's some custom bikes out here. I saw a bike in 1912, and there's some old Speedway bikes and stuff. It's like
there's this 1912 Pierce over here.
Yeah.
There's these really cool Joker machine road racing bikes that are just too nice to even be sat on, that they actively race in a vintage racing series.
Yeah.
There is these beautiful Bobby Schwartz's beautiful ESO, which is so original and authentic. It wins first place in almost every bike show it goes to, even against bikes that are valued at, you know, way more, 10 times.
Yeah.
It's just so rare and cool. And Jack and Cordy's authentic championship winning JAPs are here, the ones that they actually rode in Wembley, England in the 1937 World Championship, which is what a lot of the glory of American Speedway and Costa Mesa Speedway all goes back to the 1937 World Championship, where Americans finished first, second, and third.
Wow.
And that was amazing at the time because the favored riders, they weren't even among really the favored riders, and they were, who are these guys?
Right,
from
right.
Pasadena, California. And that was Jack Milne first place, Cordy Milne second place, and Lammy Lamoureux third place, all childhood friends.
Wow.
So it's a really, really cool night, and I think you'll see, even though we have a hard time in the past getting a good crowd out here for this great night, we'll see how that goes tonight, but for sure we will have an awesome crowd of just really worthy competitors who are just great guys and deserve to have this honor, you know, in the memory of what they've done.
Right.
I'm so much looking forward to it, and because of that, the riders back in the pits are super keyed up, and a lot of people want to win this Jack Milne Cup. The Jack Milne Cup is the Queen's Coronation Cup from 1935. When the Queen Mum was coronated, that's their process of putting her into power.
Yeah.
They had an honorary race at Wembley Stadium, and the Queen Silversmith made this cool little cup, and it became Jack Milne won it at Wembley Stadium in 1935 and passed it on to me when I was an 11-year-old kid. I saw it in the shop, and Jack never showed off any trophies or anything, and he said to me, I said, "Oh, that's a really cool trophy," and he said to me, "You can have it." It sat in my bedroom for 30 years.
Really?
Finally, I decided, after Jack had passed away in 1995, that it would be, of course, no one deserves the honor of having a cup race in their memory more than our founder and inspiration, Jack Milne.
Right.
So I took this Queen's Coronation Cup that had been on the counter. I took it down to our local silversmith. The guy looked at the markings. He goes, "Man, this came from the Queen's foundry. This is the real thing. It's sterling silver. It commemorates the Queen's coronation." I never really knew how amazing it was. I used to keep my change in it. So we cleaned it up. We mount it to a cool base. We've been putting the name of the winner for the last, I don't know, we'll have to look at the trophy. It's been at least 15 years.
Yeah.
Oh, since 95, I just said.
95, yeah.
Over 20 years.
Wow.
So everybody wants to have their name on the Jack Milne Cup.
Yeah.
And I think you're going to see guys really going for that tonight.
All right. Pretty special night. We're looking forward to it.
Thanks so much for you guys being here and supporting us, and let's just have a good, fun night, and thanks a lot.
He used to keep his change in that cup. Brad, naughty Brad. But one of the most fun nights of Costa Mesa Speedway is when the Harley Davidsons invade the bull ring in Costa Mesa and they kick up a little hell. guy was cool. I think he never wanted to get off the track. He was doing those wheelies on the Harley forever. But as cool as a Harley Davidson night is, Brad talks about the 1937 Milne Racing, the world champion, and Jap motorcycles, and he tells us all about these experiences. And even Brad Oxley rode that 1937 World Championship bike. I am jealous of Brad Oxley. I want to ride that bike too.
Then the green bike is his brother Cordy Milne's bike. He got second in the 1937 World Championship. Another guy from Pasadena named Lanny Lamoureux got third. And no one even knew who the Americans were. They just showed up at this race and beat all the established dudes. 88,000 people were at that race at Wembley Stadium in London, England. A sold-out crowd. So you're locked in with them. Oh.
How come they don't do that
just like
on the
that,
newer bikes?
If you flip on this thing, your leg is broken.
Yeah.
I ride this bike. I've ridden it about 6 or 7 times, and it rips. It throws a freaking roost all the way over the grandstand, more than the modern bikes because of these tires. And the thing rips, dude. It's like real low. It's XR400, but you can hit, and the thing just goes around like it's on rails. It's the funnest bike to ride there is, dude. But it's full commitment being locked in with the leg hook, with the bars back like that and everything. It's a different riding style.
Yeah.
It's pretty damn cool. Look at this steering damper. This is the first steering damper. You just crank the knob and a series of fiber and metal washers compress and bind. It's just a bind for a steering damper. It's got the cool, super cool girder, front end. The whole frame is really heavy wall tubular steel and cast iron. I mean, that's the real McCoy. That's when men were men and sheep were scared. Back when they rode them motorbikes.
Yeah.
Like almost, Speedway guys now are like this, right?
Yeah,
they're up on it, their legs up here. This is, you're in the big crouch and you're getting small. Yeah. It's really cool to ride. These carburetors, this whole bike, like making one of these bikes run, you have to be like part of a magician to make these carburetors work, and the magneto ignition and getting it all to work at once is kind of a trick. You see this one has a special magneto. See the magneto ignition? That thing puts out a shock that will knock you
On your ass.
Oh my gosh, you wouldn't believe the spark that thing puts out. Yeah, it's super high amperage, low volts, high amps, is that right?
Right.
It's the amps that get you.
Those JAPs are really cool bikes, that high amperage, and they're just crazy. I would like to ride that bike. I really would. I'd like to talk to Sandra Hicks about that one. But as cool as the Harley Knights and the early day JAP motorcycles are, which they're pretty cool, nothing can compare to that one special night a year where one man, one bike stand on top of the speedway world in the United States of America. And that is the United States National Speedway Championship.
Yeah, bro.
Brad, how you doing tonight?
Good, buddy. What's happening, man?
Nationals here at Costa Mesa, and you got a pretty good turnout here. How do you think tonight's going to turn out?
Well, the riders lineup is really good. It's always a tough field at the National, full of established champions, guys that are really hungry, and a couple of fast rookies. So, the only thing you can really predict at the Nationals is that it will be unpredictable. It's always fast and colorful, and may the best man win.
Well, one of your legends here at Costa Mesa Speedway, Mike Faria, has been dominating in regular season. How do you think his chances are tonight?
Faria's a man, and there's no one in the crowd tonight who wouldn't want to see him win. So there's a few sentimental favorites, Boogaloo Bob, Flying Mike. Nobody's feelings are hurt when Fast Eddie wins a race. But at the National, it takes really stepping up that extra level, and we've seen a couple other riders lately on good form. I think it's going to be tough to beat Gennaro tonight. Josh Larson's kind of an unknown because he can win any race he's in anytime. So, and that goes for Hicks, Buck Blair, Sean McConnell, right down the line, the field's full of fast motorcycle dudes.
So 40 plus years here in Costa Mesa. This is a family tradition, just about.
It is. It's a family tradition, totally. And now I have my 4th generation. Grandson is here racing the Pee-wees tonight. And so without Jack Milne, my dad, my mom, Marilyn, and then the help of so many people over the years, we would have never made it to 42 years. And we're really proud and glad to be here tonight. We're going to have fun.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, that was Brad Oxley talking about the United States Speedway National Championship. We had Brad Oxley on the show earlier today, so you want to go ahead and watch that again. Brad was just an amazing. I thought we were only going to get like 1 minute from Brad, and he was on like 25 or 30 minutes, and we want to thank Brad so much because we know he's injured. He has a bum shoulder. He's getting ready for his operation, and he had that horrible crash in the desert in Mexico where that stupid deer ran in front of him and he hit it. And actually, I believe that Brad's speedway riding ability, his national championship, all the national championships he's won, actually helped him survive that, because, you know, it's really difficult. If a normal person had that experience, there's no way he would have survived. But Brad actually was airlifted back, and he should have died, actually, is what Brad said. But the doctors told him that. And then Brad survived because Brad's a survivor. And it was a big ordeal. And thank God Brad had a good support system, his family, his children. They went ahead and they organized the airlift of Brad out. And we're going to go ahead and watch that right now.
Call from my mom, Brad, 2-time National Speedway champion. Some people might know him. He took a pretty big digger and Punta Shavato when he was out visiting his dad. So we gotta go save his ass. So I made a call to our good friend Mike Pattison, who's actually really saving the day. He's gonna fly us to Mexico and fly my parents back from Punta Shavato, which is Loreto. So we're making a little mini family vacation out of the Rad Brad Rescue. And we're going to document our experiences through Mexico as we drive the truck back and save Rad Brad.
What is that? Are you so excited? Is it close on you? The hero himself, Mike Pattison, going to save Brad Oxley.
I'm sure he would do it for me.
Oh, of course.
As much as he taught me, the heart he has, it's the least I can do.
Number 2.
What'd you have
so
to,
much.
what'd you have to
Are you
navigate
having
through
fun
there?
without Grandma? Yeah. Did you
Like
need
how
help
far did
with
you have to ride home?
I just miss you, miss you, miss you.
15 minutes to get conscious. And then 15 minutes to get the bike up. I dug some holes and stuff for the wheels. And then 18 miles home.
It was quite a hellacious experience is what you're saying.
I was passing out the whole time.
This is the beautiful view in Punta Chavato. This is Grandpa Oxley's house. This is the bay. I actually spent and like kind of walked on the beach for my first time after breaking my back right down there with my mom. It was actually kind of a cool experience. Back when Bjorn was still in Mom's tummy.
Do you like this place in Mexico?
Yeah.
Halfway. Feet up. His first ride in Baja. Enjoying our lovely tacos and tamales.
So we're here at El Crucero. This is usually around race mile 365 if you're a Baja 1000 racer. Then if you have any interest in dirt bike racing or off-road racing, but that's the corner. Yeah, this is just usually like a pivotal spot, and at the Baja 1000 a lot of people pit here, and it's packed full of people in November. We got to see a few adventure guys, and it looks like Tim Morton's Baja Bound Adventures just rode by. Kind of cool.
Old road. New road.
The road down to the east is the road down towards Cocos. This is actually kind of crazy. This is our first time driving through the finished road towards San Felipe from Laguna Chapala. And I think that we're going to shave off quite a bit of time. It used to be 16 hours to Punta Chavato, and it'll probably be like 13 now with this kind of change. Pretty cool. Well, we made it to the border.
Only to be surprised.
Congratulations.
We drove all day.
Hello, friends and family, motorcycle enthusiasts, everybody supporters of Speedway, and my parents and Rad Brad. I wanted to just give you guys a big giant hug, man. I can't even believe the outreach that you guys have given my family, and it feels so amazing. So I wanted to share a video from Rad Brad, him also thanking you, and just let you know that he is home and my mom's taking care of him and back on the mend.
Hey everybody, it's Brad here. On Monday morning, I'm home from my big deer hunting expedition in Baja, and I'm starting to see all the outreach and notes of support from everybody, and I want you to all know how much I appreciate it. I'm pretty beat up, and I'm drawing a lot of strength from everybody's support. So I just want everyone to know that I love you and I appreciate you, and I'll be back.
He definitely is back. He was back in the hive today. There's no stopping Rad Brad Oxley. Why? Because he is a true champion and beloved by all. And we thank Brad Oxley so much for coming to the hive today and sharing his ordeal. He's truly an amazing guy and truly loved by all. And we just can't wait to get back to the Costa Mesa Speedway this year. He's talking about after the Fair Derby, after the fair, actually, they're having a fair at the Orange County Fairgrounds in July. So Brad Oxley's talking about running like 8 events after the fair. And then they're going to have Speedway and hopefully a United States National Speedway Championship. But if anyone can pull the strings with the governor and with the state of California, it's Rad Brad Oxley, because he's a hard worker. He wants to make that fairgrounds, that Speedway track happen this year. And I have no doubt that Brad will make that happen. So a special shout out and thanks to Brad Oxley, Jaylene, his whole family, his children for helping rescue him. He had a really life-threatening ordeal, and we're so happy and we're so blessed that Brad survived this accident and ordeal. And it's just really great. And thank you so much, my good friend, Brad Oxley, for hanging out with us today in the hive. I know it's rough. He has his shoulder surgery operation happening this next week or so. I mean, he had massive damage to his body, and he's going to heal. We're going to have Brad Oxley back better than ever. We're going to have Brad Oxley come back. So I hope you enjoyed this live stream show of a special show with Rad Brad Oxley and Costa Mesa Speedway. We love the Brad Oxley and the Costa Mesa Speedway. And he's just one of the good guys at Speedway. Everyone really loves Brad Oxley. And Brad Oxley shed a tear for you, like that he really cares about all the love and support that has poured in his way too. So we really appreciate Brad Oxley for everything he does. And I appreciate him for coming on the show today, sharing us a little about his very bad ordeal. It can happen to anyone, and Brad did not do anything wrong or anything. It was just an accident that could happen to literally anybody. It almost happened to me, so I know that's true. So thank you so much for hanging out with us today in the hive. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and leave a comment at the bottom of which your experience with Brad Oxley, with Costa Mesa Speedway, and everything. And we'd love to have you a part of our Speedway channel. We do live streams almost every day. And today is a special day. It's the Brad Oxley Show. So thank you so much for hanging out with us in the hive. Please stay safe. Stay on 2 wheels. No crashes. And we'll see you next show.